Thank you for joining us for another episode of USATF Journey to Gold Zone podcast. I'm your host, Erik Kynard, joined by the Curtis Thompson. Man, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
So Trenton, New Jersey native. Got a few SEC championships and the NCAA championship. Is that correct?
I got one NCAA championship, no SEC championship.
No SEC championship. Okay, skip. One NCAA championship, 2016 for NCAA. All right, man. I'm sorry. My number's all over the place.
It's been a while.
It's all right. All right, so 2016 NCAA championship men's javelin throw.
Yes.
Mississippi State University. From New Jersey originally.
Yep.
One brother, 29 years old, two-time Olympian, Tokyo and Paris as of recently. Olympic trials champion, four-time U.S. champion, right? NatCat silver in 2018, NatCat gold in 2016, NatCat gold in 2022.
Yep.
And 2023 Budapest World Championship competitor, as well as you made the team for Eugene.
Yep.
Okay, see, I only messed up in the beginning. That
Just
boy
in the
on
beginning.
there.
That's because it was a while ago.
It's a lot of stats to try to remember, man. You know.
I barely remember them, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
So the javelin throw. How did you find yourself on the javelin runway? Obviously, African American of Jamaican descent, correct? Javelin, I'm sure, was not the first love in your family by any means, and especially with your size. I'm sure you were on the football field, or at least.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about your experience in that.
Yeah, my dad, he played basketball. My brother played basketball.
Yeah.
I grew up playing basketball, football, did baseball, tried soccer, didn't like soccer.
Yeah.
And then when I got to high school, football was my passion. That was what I was going to do. And long run and everything. I decided I was going to do track to get faster football, and one day I just didn't want to run, so I went over there to Coach Robe at Florence High School, and I was like, I want to throw that stick thing, and he was like, well, this is a javelin, so he showed me how to throw it and everything, and kind of just took off from there. Grew a passion for it after my freshman year, making it to states and everything. So was able to get a scholarship and just stick with it. Me and my dad, we actually wrote a book about it. So
What's the title of the book?
How to Throw That Thing.
How to Throw That Thing. When did the book is published, or audio?
Can I
or
Throw That Thing? It's on Amazon.
Can I Throw That Thing? Can I Throw That Thing on Amazon?
Yep.
All right, y'all heard it here, man. Book by Curtis Thompson, author, and your dad is co-author?
Yes, sir.
What's his name?
Scott Thompson.
Scott Thompson. Can I Throw That Thing?
Can I Throw That Thing?
We're going to get that right. We're going to bounce back to Can I Throw That Thing a few times in this. So what kind of grip do you use in the jav? I know a few different grips in the javelin. I know a little bit. You know, American, Finnish, German, you know.
So I started with the fork grip when I first started throwing.
So you're here.
Yep, and I was there. And then after that, I decided I'm going to try American grip. So I was the pointer and the thumb. And just recently I changed to a Finnish grip. Okay,
because American grip is quite compromising from what I understand, right? As it relates to technique, is more of a brute grip than it is a technical grip? Yeah,
for the most part. But the cool part about it is all the grips, it just depends on what's comfortable for you and what works for you. I know people that are using a fork grip right now throwing 90 meters. So.
Man, I would lose my whole index finger if I was doing a fork grip. So what made you change grips, and what does transitioning from one grip to another look like as it relates to your maturity in the sport?
I mean, honestly, it starts off with some curiosity. Just to see if things feel good or if things are going to change. So when I changed from fork grip to American grip, the reason for that change was it felt like I was pushing off more on one finger. So it was causing the jab to turn
a little bit.
So then I tried the American grip, and that felt better, and so on. And then I probably stuck with that for about 6-7 years, 8 years, and then finally switched to a Finnish grip just to give it a try and see. And it worked well in practice, and I stuck with it, and it's just been working so far. So kind of just stick with it until it don't work no more.
That's good. And so for the viewers, a fork grip is with a javelin, and so the javelin is the spear of track, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the cooler implements, I feel. One of the more dangerous implements for sure.
Definitely.
You definitely. American is here to here, right?
And then Finnish.
And then Finnish is okay. And all can be compromising for wrist and elbow as it relates to event, right?
Yeah. So our events vary. It affects a lot of our body parts. So our knees, backs, shoulders, elbows, wrist. There's a lot of things that can, I guess, go wrong.
Right.
But if you do things right, For
you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. A lot of folks don't know, but in some ways, okay, I was a high jumper, right? And in some ways, the javelin and the high jump are similar. You know, on the runway, below the waist, especially with, you know,
very
the penultimate.
well.
Very technical. So in watching or training or working with multi-athletes, a lot of how you coach them, you correlate between the two, between the jab and the high jump. So I say all that to say you might can jump. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You might be able to do a little something.
Look, I tried triple jump when I was a freshman in high school, and I found out real quick that that's not where I'm gonna be.
No, you're not pliable in that way.
Not even close.
I understand that. Outside of the triple and the jab, did you ever have any in sprinting other event aspirations as it relates to implements like the weight or disc?
I mean, I threw the shot and disc when I was in high school, just doing it. Shot put, I think I threw farthest was like 54 feet. So I'm pretty proud about that. Discus was my least favorite.
Yeah.
When I signed with Mississippi State, Coach April tried to introduce the hammer to me. I realized real quick that I don't like spinning in circles, that wasn't gonna work for us. No. I like the linear motion, and that's it.
So last year, 2024, U.S. Olympic Trials champion. Seemingly in your progression through the sport and through the event of javelin, you kind of been a sleeper a little bit. Like you've definitely always shown up, from my perspective, as it relates to any event. Not always the favorite in the event. How do you feel about that, and do you think about that? And is it extrinsically motivating for you, or do you just not pay attention?
So I say definitely when I guess I'm not the favorite or basically sleeper. That kind of frees up all types of pressure. Like there's nothing to lose basically. But I've also been in a predicament where I'm favored to win. With that part, I mean, you kind of use it a little bit to fuel yourself, to kind of walk around with that kind of confidence, like that's who I am and that's what I'm going to do. But you also make sure you don't focus too much on it, so you get that pressure of, oh man, what if I fail, or what if I don't do what they expect me to do. But I mean, for USA's, we've always prepared well to be able to show up at that time. But when we get to that international stage, not being a favorite kind of plays in a role. But our goal is to go ahead and change that type of standard for U.S. Javelin. I want men's U.S. Javelin to be a household name at these high level events. So, and I think it's on the way.
I think it's on the rise too. Now, how do you stay motivated and engaged as you prepare for international competition, right? Because you've had extreme success at, the NACACs, during the NACAC championships internationally, and you now are, I feel like, on the precipice of having international success on the world stage, right? How do you, because you speak about, the level of expectation in regards to both, obviously more comfortable for some people to be at a U.S. championship and feel like, oh, I got this. And then, every championship abroad comes with its own adversities, right? Depending on the location, food, time, sleep, all those things. So how do you, in your own maturation in the event and as an athlete, continue to add tools to your box to prepare for those, adversities?
I think within time and all the experience and I guess the meets that I've been going to, that kind of adds under the belt. You learn something between every meet, what worked, what didn't work. So I think, like you say, you're getting to that point where it's almost like, I'm not going to say we've been through everything, but we kind of get an idea of everything that can happen. So to be able to adapt and prepare, and that's been getting better just because we have to do it every year. But to stay motivated, honestly, it's just taking one day at a time, one meet at a time, not looking too far ahead. That's been my biggest thing this year and last year, just trying to stay within the, the moment.
Okay. Now, we spoke a little bit, I spoke a little bit with Annette and her experience in Paris and in the hammer, and obviously learning the hammer a little later, and she talked a little bit about marketing and social identity as it relates to the throws, social identity as it relates to trying to connect with your audience in that event. How do you find that, and do you focus on, I know you have social media, so, do you focus on that? I know I've seen, because if I was you, I'd be walking around like I am a Maasai warrior, man, with a spear or something. Like, listen, man, I can, knock off a wild hog, wild boar at 100 yards with this damn thing. You know what I mean?
Something like that. Try it. It's tough. because I feel like when you first get started, when people start seeing javelin for the first time, you know, you see somebody throw a spear, and all of a sudden you start seeing the same angle, same view, same video, basically. You practice in the same spot. It's the same thing. So it's like, how can you mix up, or how can you change up the content that you're expressing to people? Some people go, all right, get ready with me for the day in a life of a professional athlete. All right, how many times can you do that? Once, twice. So it's definitely hard to figure out content and figure out how to market yourself in that aspect. It's the time that you got to put into it to figure it out.
And a lot of some people put more time into it than others. I saw a video or an athlete, and maybe he was Japanese shot putter. You know what I'm talking about? Where he was doing a glide or a hang.
And he's like in the mall or something.
Exactly, in the mall, through the crosswalk in Japan. Like, he's kind of like going viral.
And it's funny, when I first got into javelin, I mean, after my second, third year, I was in the hallways of my high school doing crossovers. Like,
everybody's looking at you like you're crazy.
And then when you get the results and they realize where you're going, they go, oh, that's why you're doing that. But that ain't why. I was just doing it because it just happened.
Exactly, So do you feel like you're at a point in your career where, because I know it's in certain instances, in the field events especially, you see people kind of tying back in to, you know, giving back to the sport through coaching or through mentoring, those things. It's obvious to me that there are not many javelin throwers that look like you. You know what I mean? And I know that's obvious to you as well. Do you feel like you would ever, you know, consider coaching, you know, do you have an approach to coaching or the educational model of javelin? Like, hey, I think that we can get better athletes in the event if we do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. So I'll coach at high school in Alabama. So I'm able to kind of get within the youth that's around there. We also run clinics all the time, so obviously whenever I see people that look like me, look like us, it's kind of one of those, how can we keep them engaged? So how do we grow the sport more in that aspect of things? It's really keeping them engaged, keeping them interested. The thing that I've noticed when it comes to high school is, once a kid gets into an event, the improvements, they just happen. They happen. Then all of a sudden they get to a point where they kind of plateau, where they go down, and it's like, that's where the interest starts to go away, because it's not fun anymore. But if you can kind of push them past that, or get them to realize, to find the fun outside of just the results, then I think they kind of stick with it a little bit more, or enjoy it more.
How do you find the fun outside the results? And what allows you to stay motivated in the manner? Because, you know, you clearly have a passion for doing what you're doing. You also have a passion for instructing what you're doing, right? So much that, you know, can I throw that thing came to fruition. You know what I mean? So, you know, how do you journal? Do you know, how do you stay motivated through the results in that way? In the same way that you're trying to, you know, instill in them.
Yeah, I think when it comes to journaling, people write stuff down and everything. I don't really do that. I think what I am using, or what I realize that I'm using, is Instagram as a timeline of your life, basically. So if you post, you get to scroll back and see. So that's kind of how I capture those moments. But as far as like numbers or results, like making sure that's not what is, I guess, pushing me in a way. Honestly, I kind of forget. So you can ask me, what did I throw at NACAX, and I'm gonna say, I think 84 or something. I don't know the number.
Short-term memory.
So it's kind of one of those. We've learned that really quick in my career, that when I start trying to shoot for an actual number or a mark, it don't happen. No, and then the disappointment is even greater because of that.
Because you set yourself up for in anticipation of, instead of just doing what's natural.
And just doing what's natural, and then the results will come and make it that much better.
Oh yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. Were there any other, outside of, you know, high school coaching, author, Olympian, two-time Olympian, and I want, you know, to add the moniker of world championship medalist to that, hopefully this summer, as you revisit Tokyo, the redo, you know what I mean?
Redo with people there too.
Exactly. Is there anything else that you're passionate about, that you feel like you want to, you know, at a particular time of your career or after your career, you would love to pour, you know, your energy or passion or talents into?
As far as after my career, I'm not sure. I've thought about things of creating an atmosphere for athletes or javelin throwers to start off, because that's just what I'm passionate about. Creating an environment that they can pursue their dreams. I know pursuing a dream that's not normal to the world, like pursuing javelin or pursuing track and field in general, giving them the ability or the space to kind of prepare and build and improve. So maybe building a facility where they can train, they can work, they can do whatever in that aspect of things. And then as far as after I'm done with my career, I mean, that's going to be the time where I start thinking, all right, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm pouring all my energy into this event, family, friends.
Yeah.
We've created this Jav Fam group. I'm wearing a shirt because this year we just got a group training together.
Okay. Who's in that group?
It's me, Ethan Shalloway, Sarah Blake, Jacob Moran, and Sindri.
Okay.
He's an Icelandic thrower, but we went to Mississippi State.
So,
and they're all coached by Coach Justice Pilot. So we kind of just creating this environment, building and chasing dreams to be great all together and with the same mindset.
Yeah. Now, is this your first, because we are here at the 2025 USATF Throws Fest Continental Tour Silver, and I know that this is not the first annual competition by any means. It's kind of, this Throws Fest has been going on. There's been a transition into it kind of going and turning into a field fest, right? This is not your first time competing here, right? And how important do you feel that this competition is for your development throughout the season, because you've kind of revisited it?
Right. It's huge. It's important to the point of outside of, this is a world rank meet.
Yeah.
Helps with world ranking, helps people make teams, helps people get those points that they need.
Right.
But also to have something that's happening year after year, you gain the familiarity of the environment, of the meet. When you think about, I'll go with the Diamond League in Doha. They always have the javelin there. They always got great results. Well, most of those guys have been going there
their whole career.
Over and over. And they have great throws. Now, did they first start out? Yeah, maybe, but they're able to keep learning every time they go there. So just being familiar with some place also adds that type of confidence.
Okay. No, that's great, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you sitting down with us. And I definitely am looking forward to seeing what you do this year, man, and throughout the rest of your career. As I know you coming into your peak, not that is a limitation associated with that physically or mentally, but however, I know you coming into, a greater understanding of both the event and yourself. Be sure to definitely, folks, get out there on Amazon. And can I throw that thing, man?
Yep.
Can I throw that thing? By Curtis Thompson and Scott Thompson, correct?
Sir.
So make sure y'all reach out, get on Amazon, purchase that. Jav Fam merch is available where?
We're getting that on board.
Get that on.
But you can check it on Jav Fam. Was it Jav Fam -CF on Instagram? You can follow everybody's journey. We're going to keep it as organic as possible. And if there's content that you guys want to know, just let everybody know. We'll start posting it.
Oh, man. Well, that's great, man. We appreciate your time and all your efforts out there in the event, man. And good luck out there, and good luck with the rest of the year, man.
Will do.
Appreciate it. Thank you for joining us.
Cool.